All right. Yeah, get the pizza open. It's Nick and Tom, SCMP MMA. It is the pizza preview. Yeah, we were thinking of doing the poolside preview to preview this 1X card. We are obviously live in lovely Singapore. You can see behind us, Tom. Beautiful skyline there. I think you can see, you were saying, the one Farah Hotel where all the fighters are staying. I can't quite make it out.
Just over here, yeah. It's a very fancy 5-star hotel. We were there earlier today chatting with Chatri. Had some close encounters with, who did we see? We saw Nikki Holskin.
Yes, Marat.
Yeah, Marat, yeah. It was cool to be at that hotel for a little while and kind of mingle with the fighters, kind of be a part of the atmosphere. On previous One Championships trips, we've stayed at the same hotel as the fighters, and it's a cool experience. Kind of a bit of a bummer that we're not sharing space with them this time, but
yes, we're in the Bugis. I think you pronounce it as Bugis.
Bugis, yeah.
Village Hotel Bugis, where I have just had a series of mistakes. I've dropped my Hong Kong ID down the elevator shaft, which is impossible. You would think. I don't know how that happened. Just fell out of my wallet somehow.
Right down that narrow crack. It's unbelievable what happened, to be honest.
Yeah, but we got a pizza here, so I'm feeling slightly better.
And we got some Bretta beer.
Yeah.
Bretta and butter.
Thought we'd treat ourselves because the fights are tomorrow night. This has not been cut up very well, so I'm going to have to let you... Tom's going to get me a slice. But anyway, yeah, we're about, 12 hours away from heading over to the arena.
Just 12, eh?
I don't know what time it is, 10. So maybe a little bit longer. The show should get underway in about 15 hours, so we'll try and get this up ASAP. While we have a slice of pizza, though, we're going to make our predictions, things like that. We're going to regale you with some anecdotes from the week. This is really poorly cut, isn't it? But anyway, Tom, how was your experience been? You flew from Canada to Singapore, 22 hours in the middle seat on 2 flights. How was that for you?
I mean, it was long. It was profoundly uncomfortable. I'm still kind of having some residual stress about the whole experience, but I made it here. I'm trying not to think about the flight back too much. That sort of fills me with fear thinking about that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It's good to be in Singapore. It's good to be in the thick of it again after so long, without traveling. So yeah, good times, man. It's great to be here.
I'll picture them off.
I'll continue talking then.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I'll put that down. Yeah, we've just been at the ceremonial weigh-ins tonight, a few hours ago. So there were no fans there, but there were media, and then I don't know what we call them, VIPs. They were.
I think so. Yeah.
So about 150 people, and we were all kind of herded into one square, and then I had this camera which has obviously right in front of us now, and I tried to film the ceremonial weigh-ins, but they couldn't see any of the fighters, could we? Because there was about 55 people on the stage. Some executives. Matt Hume was there. I can't.
The great Bear Fraser.
Bear Fraser was there. Josh from PR. But the problem was they were standing in the way of the right-hand side of the stage. So my camera, you could see, is it the blue or the red corner, whatever. But one corner was completely hidden from view. So haven't uploaded that video. It's just not worth it. So if you want to see the ceremonial weigh-ins, everyone, please just go to One Championships YouTube. It's not worth the video I took. But still a fun evening nonetheless, wasn't it, Tom, to get a little taste of what we're in store for tomorrow?
Yeah, absolutely. It was good to be at the Singapore Indoor Stadium. Yeah. They've got it all decked out already. The cage is set up. The banners are in place. The video displays are all set up from the looks of it. It seems like they're primed for prime time. It was cool to be there. We were only there for about, I think, half an hour. Yeah. They really rattled through these weigh-ins, which is nice. I'm a big fan of efficiency. Nothing like going to one of these things and then spending 2 hours there when it could have been half an hour. So it was very, very streamlined, very quick. And it's going to be good to get back to the arena tomorrow.
I've still got pizza in my mouth.
That's for you ASMR folks.
Yeah. So there were 8 misses in the afternoon weigh-ins. So we were at the hotel where the official weigh-ins were, but we weren't actually in the room, or I don't even know where they did do the weigh-ins, but they were exposed, weren't they, when one guy knocked the set down. So I thought it was just a room, but it's not. I don't know where it is in the hotel, but we were in the restaurant. Anyway, 8 fighters failed the hydration and had to come back at 4 p.m. I don't know who passed and who failed again, but there were some who weren't at the ceremonials. I don't know if that was by design, but Ham So-hee and Denise Sambawanga did not come to the ceremonials. Is that right?
That's right. Conspicuously absent.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where they were, if that fight is canceled, if it's still on, and they're going to do the additional hydration test tomorrow. Still sort of waiting on information on that. Hopefully that fight happens, because obviously it's one of the more compelling features of the whole lineup. It's probably the fight that will produce the next contender for the winner of Stamp and Angela's fight. Makes sense to have it on this card. Then they're kind of on the same schedule. It would be a definite disappointment, I would say, if that fight fell through. Then again, we've got 20 fights tomorrow. If it's down to 19 and we only have one casualty, I would say that's actually something of a victory. When you look at the way that the other cards have been kind of strafed over the last few months, losing one fight, even a great fight, is actually probably not the end of the world in the grand scheme.
Yeah, I mean, they will have another chance, won't they? If they can pass by midday tomorrow, the fight is as it was scheduled. Otherwise, they're going to have to negotiate a catch weight, and they'll be fined, I think, 10% of the purse, or maybe 20. We'll go to the other fight. So Denise made weight, no problems, but Ham failed hydration, and she didn't weigh in at 1 o'clock, whenever it was. Don't know. I'm trying to chase up from the results for those 4 p.m. weigh-ins and hydration tests. If I get them, I'll put them up on scmp.com/MMA. You know how it is. We'll have it. Otherwise, we'll have it all tomorrow morning. They will be giving us the results by then. So check back on the website, and we will let you know if any fights have been affected. But hopefully not, because there were a couple of big misses, weren't there? John Wayne Parr missed, but they seemed to announce he was... I mean, he was at the ceremonials, but when you don't have Michael Chavello and Mitch Chilson in your ear, they're the ones who actually explain who missed and who didn't. If you watch the ceremonial broadcast, Dom Lau, who is the MC, de facto MC, and hosts the whole thing, he doesn't really say, oh, so-and-so missed weight by 3 pounds. So we don't know. We do not know, but John Wayne Parr was there. He gave Edward Flying a cuddly kangaroo. I don't know if you can see that from through the bodies past Matt Hume's arse. And Bear Fraser's haircut, his mohawk. So that one should be fun. Hopefully John Wayne Parr makes weight, because he missed the hydration and the weight pretty badly last time against Sneaky Holdskin, and I don't think it helped his performance. It was pretty bad. But he wants to go out on a high here, get a 100th win. I think they're matched up fairly well. Why don't we make a prediction for that then? Edward Flying against John Wayne Parr. If it goes ahead, who have you got, Tom?
Well, John Wayne Parr is, obviously in the tail end of his career, the final chapter of his career, in fact. Getting a little up there in age, has certainly taken a lot of damage over the course of his career. But you'd be a fool not to pick him in this fight under the Muay Thai rule set. He's been doing this his entire life, his entire career. Edward's a great champion. I love that guy. He's a real OG of one championship, but this is not an MMA fight. He's had his striking-only matches in the past, allegedly, the kickboxing fights, the wushu fights and whatnot. But yeah, this is a Muay Thai fight with a Muay Thai legend, and I think you have to be a little bit deluded to pick him ahead of time. And I say that with complete respect for him. This is just not a rule set that favors him.
It is not, no. I agree completely with you. I won't contest that.
No contesting.
No, but there were a couple of other fights that also were in danger. 2 title fights, which would be big. But I want to say Nongo came out at the ceremonials.
Yeah, and so did
Capitan. So it seems like they're okay. The bantamweight champs in Muay Thai and kickboxing, those fights look like they're on with... Felipe Lobo, and I don't even know who Capitan's fighting. I've forgotten. It's such a big card.
So big.
Yeah. And it keeps changing. Like today, you were completely shocked that
Stephen Lohman.
Yeah, Stephen Lohman walked out at the ceremonials.
He's on this card. Yeah, I completely missed that. Well, it's because these things aren't really being announced. They're sort of just being changed, and you're sort of just left to accept what happens. There's no press releases that I've seen or anything. But I guess when you're dealing with a 20-fight card and 40 fighters in a pandemic with so many moving parts, you can't send out a press release every time there's a change. Otherwise, you're going to be sending out 15 emails a day. But yeah, I mean, it's great to see him on the card. If anything, the card just got better.
I think they also they're trying not to draw attention to if there are changes, because one doesn't like that, and I think they like to seem in control of everything. And
Control is the
yes, so they didn't really announce it. I don't know. I don't want to cast aspersions, but didn't make a song and dance of it. Maybe in the Filipino media, but. Yeah, Stephen Lohman's here. Quite a few of the Team Lakai guys are here. Edward Flying, Lito Adewang is here in an all-Filipino fight against Jeremy Miado. So plenty of Filipino interest. Some of the Filipino journalists we've seen here, Nisi Casiano, JM from GMA News, Luisa Morales. I've seen a few of them. They were all knocking about at the ceremonials tonight. Also a lot of Japanese media. Manabu, we finally ran into the mystic Manabu, who, if you follow Japanese MMA, he's one of the OGs of that scene. He's had to stay in I think he had to quarantine for about a week when he arrived here or something like that, because his daughter tested positive for COVID. So he said, he was telling me that she's all fine though, by the way, but yeah, that's why we didn't see him on Wednesday at the press conference or Thursday at the open workouts. So good to see Manabu in person after a couple of years, since I last saw him in Malaysia, I think. He was one of the regulars on the circuit. Yeah, nice to see a friendly face. And a shame a few others couldn't make it. We're missing a few of the crew from Tokyo. Last time I was at a junket with you. No Drake, no Amy. Drake was going to turn up, but...
Drake's a mysterious man. You never know what's going on with Drake Riggs.
No.
He's a mysterious man with mysterious plans. If you're lucky enough to see him, count your blessings. If not, you just wait for the next time.
Yeah, so when I got here, Tom was still, I think, in the air somewhere over, I don't know, the Atlantic.
Middle East or something.
So I arrived at about 11 or 10 a.m. and then Drake had told me he would have been landing about 1 a.m. that day, so I was thinking, Drake's probably asleep. I will just wait until he emerges. I've sent him a few texts, and I'll go find a bar around the corner in the afternoon. I sat there waiting for Drake. I sort of ordered one pint, didn't hear anything from him. Ordered a second pint, didn't hear anything. It was sort of getting close to 3 or 4 a.m. and then a.m. p.m. and then Drake finally texts, the mysterious Drake, said he's not coming to Singapore, having already made a late call that he was coming, which he got my hopes up, Tom, and then he dashed them again.
You see what you've done, Drake? Look at this guy. I don't know if you can see on the camera, there are tears streaming down his face right now.
They're just covered by my hair.
I mean, you've really broken his heart.
Yeah, well, one day Drake and I will meet in person.
I've met Drake, and he's a great guy to meet in person.
Is he good on a junket?
He's great on a junket. He's better in person than he is online, and that's saying something.
Yeah, well, we lost Drake. We lost Amy late doors, Amy Kaplan as well. She was going to come, but that fell through. So it's just us, really, flying the flag. No Leon. Who else was in Tokyo with us that time? I think that we were the Fantastic Five.
Yeah.
Oh, Drake wasn't there, but
no.
Yeah. Anyway. This preview is sort of just meandering with all of our experiences from a crazy week. We're both jet lagged as heck. I think today you took a nap. You had to take a nap before the ceremonials, didn't you? You just hit the wall completely.
Yeah, it was a matter of survival for me. I mean, it's a 12-hour difference for me where I'm from, so it just totally confuses you, man. It's
I'm giving you that one.
Yeah, sure.
It's the pizza preview.
It's the pizza preview, so expect a little bit of pizza. It's going to be a little bit crusty, a little bit cheesy.
Sauce on the fingers.
Yeah, we're eating Hawaiian pizza. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. I know Hawaiian pizza, pineapple on pizza is a controversial topic these days. Hopefully we don't alienate any viewers. But it's the pizza preview. What have we got? We got Domino's. I couldn't even remember what we ordered. See, this is what I'm talking about. The jet lag just it deprives your brain of like 80% of its power. I'm unable to make basic decisions. I can't form sentences. The fact that I'm talking right now is actually miraculous. I don't know what I'm going to say next. I don't know what's happening. I'm in some sort of autopilot right now.
We were pretty bad in the Farah Hotel, the Fights Hotel earlier, weren't we? We both needed to just get out of there.
Yeah, we were losing steam. There was a lot of heavy sighing. Just kind of an air of dejection. It was probably not a pretty scene. We've definitely looked more spirited. Yesterday, we were at the open workouts. I was outside in the heat of the day in Singapore. It was a really, a nice vibe aesthetically. There were fans around, which was very cool. But man, it was hot and we were tired. And that was a bit of a struggle, but it was cool to see fans back. It's cool to see fans back in general. It really does contribite to the atmosphere, doesn't it?
It does. I can grab again.
Sure,
I don't mind just passing it back and forth if we want. Yeah. Nice to see the fans. The point on the jet lag, really. Yeah. So normally coming to these things, I'm just flying in from Hong Kong, so it's sort of a 3-hour max, 4 hours. If it would have been Singapore from Hong Kong, 4 hours, yeah. Tokyo was about 4 hours, I think. Kuala Lumpur 2, maybe. Vietnam. I don't think I did a one show in Vietnam, actually, but you get the picture. Very short flight distances. So there's no jet lag, obviously. This is the first time I've come in from, the West, the Wild West, and came from London, 13.5-hour flight. So I've been stuck in London, as you probably know if you've been following the channel. Last few months I've been there since December 10th, and hopefully I'm going to get back into Hong Kong soon. They have eased the restrictions a bit there. April 1st, I think, no more flight bans from the UK, which is great because I'm already here. But anyway, looking good. I don't know where I'm going to be next week, to be honest. I'm either going to stay in Singapore if I can or go to Thailand. If I can't get back in Hong Kong, I'm in limbo. But
you're basically a drifter.
I am a drifter, but before that, I'm going to drift over to the Singapore Indoor Stadium tomorrow, watch some excellent fights. Let's do another fight. Okay. Let's go for the top. Yeah, Stamp Fairtex, Angela Lee. Now, we spoke to Chatri earlier. He is still picking Stamp. I don't know if that's Chatri playing mind games, because I'm pretty sure. I think we know he does love the Lee family. I think he built this company on Angela Lee in the early years, since about 2016, 17, when she really rose to fame. Has the company now moved on enough that he can survive without a belt on a Lee? Christian Lee also lost his belt. At one point, it looked like we might have 3 Lees as champions. Victoria was coming up quick. But if Angela loses tonight, that's unthinkable. It would have been about a year ago to see Angela and Christian without a belt. Such was their dominance. But I don't know. You're not too convinced Stamp's going to win this one, I think, from our previous conversations.
Yeah, this is about as unconfident as I get with fights. Most other fights on the bill, I feel like I have a pretty, clear inkling of what's going to happen. But with this fight, I'm just going back and forth every day. I find there's so many variables at play in this one. Obviously, the big one is Angela's layoff. That's the most important detail, I think. Is she going to come back stronger than ever, like she says? Or is she going to look slow? Is she going to look, a little labored coming back from this long layoff she's had? The pregnancy, of course, which takes a physical toll. She looked good at the weigh-ins. I mean, I'm not exaggerating here. I don't think I've ever seen her in better shape physically. She's absolutely shredded. She looks like she's ready to fight and win, but you just don't know. 2 years is a long time in this sport, and if your motivation is flagged even a tiny bit, you can pay the price, especially against somebody like Stamp, who clearly wants the title, clearly has the skills to win it. It's a good fight, man, and I hate to... It feels like a cop-out, but I don't have a prediction. I really don't know. Right now, I'll say Angela. Ask me again in 5 minutes. I'll probably say Stamp.
Splinters in your backside from that. We got to make predictions. It's the pizza preview.
All right, let me say then. I'm gonna go with Angela. She's got the legacy. She's shown what she can do. One thing I do think, Stamp. We're all pretty high on her grappling, the progression she's made in her grappling. I would remind, though, that, Ritu Phogat, while being an incredible wrestler, is not exactly a BJJ black belt. I can take that if you want.
Oh, up to you.
Yeah. Great grappler, but not, fairly new to jiu-jitsu still. So, submitting her that was a great accomplishment for Stamp. But I think maybe we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. There are levels to every facet of MMA. That includes wrestling, that includes jiu-jitsu, and I think Angela, may end up showing Stamp that there are levels to that side of the game tomorrow night.
I love that we're literally, criticizing athletes while eating pizza and drinking a beer.
I'm not criticizing anybody. I've got the utmost respect for these people.
I know. I'm just joshing. This is the ASMR preview. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will finish that slice. Yeah, it's a difficult one to call because, like you say, the layoff. Angela, for me, that last, or the last two, the Panda fights she had with Zhang Jingnan, both of them, she ate too many shots, and I think we would agree that Stamp is a better striker than Zhang Jingnan. She has the pedigree, not to belittle Zhang, but if Zhang can find a way through, I think Stamp can find a way through. But if it gets down to the mat, I don't think Stamp's going to be able to live with Angela. I think it'll be a quick night's work for Angela. I'm going to go with Ange still. I'm going to put my neck on the... Oh, there you go. See? Pizza preview. It's a good pizza. I'm going to go with Angela Lee. And, I think the legacy will continue. And then, as you wrote in your preview today, which is on scmp.com/MMA, and will be in the South China Morning Post print edition tomorrow, Tom, I can reveal to you. He wants to go pick up a copy somewhere in Singapore. We'll see if we can find one.
Yeah, if I can find one, something for my parents to put on their fridge, finally be proud of me.
Yeah. Proud moment indeed. As Tom said in his preview, Stamp is at a crossroads and so is Angela, but Stamp, especially, I think if Stamp loses, where does she go next? Does she go back to Muay Thai and kickboxing, try and win those belts? Does she abandon the MMA journey? Does she double down on it? I think if she loses, she's going to have to make a hard decision, Tom. She's going to have to commit to MMA full time. I don't think she can keep doing three things. If she wants to be the MMA champion, it needs to be like she's never looked better in MMA because she spent the last whole year focusing on it, and she made that her intention. So I think she's going to have to double down again, win or lose, and maybe leave the Muay Thai and kickboxing in the past. If she wants to reach her true potential, Tom, in MMA, what do you think?
Yeah, I think if we're speaking about a Stamp loss, particularly a decisive one, the best response would be actually to double down on MMA rather than tuck tail and run back to the sports she came from. I think she's already proven that she's top level in kickboxing and Muay Thai, and people are more interested in seeing what she can do in MMA, and I think that will remain true even if she loses tomorrow. She's still very young, so if she comes up short tomorrow, I'd like to see her just rededicate herself, get back to the drawing board, get her nose back on the grindstone, and then hopefully work her way back up.
All right. Well, that's the main event. There's an exciting, tasty co-main event, which will also be getting a lot of attention. On a tangent, I think Stamp is now. I was saying this to you. I think she's their biggest star behind Ong La and Sang in terms of numbers. Viewers. She attracts, especially on socials and YouTube, Facebook, yada yada. So I think it's not going to be the end of the world if Angela loses. I think one may see a big surge of interest if Stamp wins. But the co-main event, Rodtang Jitmuangnon against Demetrius Johnson, Mighty Mouse. Special rules, whatever you want to call it. What did they call it on the website? It had a funky name.
Freestyle something? Freestyle?
Yeah, Double Danger. No, it wasn't that. Anyway. I don't know how that's going to go, to be honest. It could be a complete weird thing where DJ just runs around for 3 minutes, then he dumps Rodtang on the floor, and Rodtang sort of squirms around for 3 minutes. I'm worried we won't actually see any action, and our old buddy Michael Chiavello, who saw in the what do you call it? Canteen? I don't know, restaurant. Yeah, for breakfast. Saw him there. Poor lad was watching Italy, his beloved Azzurri, lose to North Macedonia. They're out of the World Cup. he was almost in tears, the poor guy. I don't know how.
John Wayne Parr is retiring tomorrow night.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw, he just posted a beautiful, heartfelt interview with John Wayne Parr. There were literally tears streaming.
Really? Oh.
It was a gorgeous thing. Yeah, those two guys have a long connection. I think they said they've known each other for 24 years. He's been calling Wayne Parr's fights for 24 years. So an emotional moment for both guys, and it was cool to watch them reminisce. So if you want to watch John Wayne Parr cry, go to the One Championship YouTube channel and watch Michael Chiavello interview him. It's worth a watch.
All right, yeah. Well, watch it after you've watched this. I'm sure that's better than this, to be honest.
I mean, we can cry.
Yeah.
I'm really tired. I could probably call
Yeah.
it tears. I'm feeling a little bit emotional, a little bit unhinged. I haven't gotten enough sleep recently, drinking too many beers.
I am feeling very emotional. It's just been a long ass journey, to be honest. And I'm not feeling 100% physically and mentally, just like I normally am on these junkets before. So I'm hoping I can rise to the occasion tomorrow and deliver the type of content you all love for SCMP MMA. But yeah, DJ Rodtang, I'm a little bit worried it's going to fizzle out slightly. I went off on a tangent there, but what do you think? Because, Chattery seems to say we're going to have a spectacular knockout or submission within the first 2 rounds. I personally think it might just kind of go 4 rounds and not be as great as everyone is hoping and expecting. But am I just being naturally pessimistic like I usually am?
I would say that's a pretty fair assessment. One thing that I do think that is interesting is we're talking a lot about this first round of this fight like something DJ has to survive. Like it's all about just avoiding danger and then using constant peril for the duration of these 3 minutes, which is true. But that sort of, is based on the assumption that Rodtang is knocking people out like crazy, and he hasn't really been doing that. He's obviously got knockout power, but it's not like he's just knocking people clean out willy-nilly. And I don't think he's going to be super aggressive against DJ. And he's always aggressive, but I don't expect him to just be extra aggressive because the stakes are higher here. If he gets knocked out or something in the Muay Thai round, there'll be a humiliation for the ages, right? So I think if he's smart, he's probably going to be a little bit careful to see what DJ's all about in the Muay Thai round. Obviously, he'll want to finish it in that first round, but he has to be careful himself. And I think DJ, clearly Rodtang is on an entirely different level when it comes to Muay Thai, but DJ's a great striker. He's very smart, always has a great strategy. And I think he's probably going to come in with the right game plan. And I think I don't expect him to run away. I think he'll be defensively minded, certainly, but I think he's going to make it a fun first round, certainly, and probably hang in there a little bit better than people are expecting.
Yeah. So Adriano caught him with the uppercut. That was it, wasn't it?
Yeah. But Adriano is a lot bigger than Rodtang is. And Adriano has kind of shown a little bit more power than Rodtang has recently. Obviously, Rodtang's a much better striker, but Adriano, I think, probably maybe at this point packs a little bit more punch.
Well, you could see at the open workouts, Adriano Moraes was actually taller than Tan Lei, who is the champion 2 divisions above him. It was funny seeing them next to each other. Adriano is huge for that division, so yeah, DJ, his mindset is key. What is he treating this like? Is he hell-bent on victory? What's at stake here for him? If he loses, it's kind of a free hit. That's what I'm worried about. Rodtang, I think, has more to gain from a win.
If DJ wins by submission, then he does what everyone thinks he's going to do, right? And it's just that's not really all that valuable for him. I think you're bang on here. Right?
If you submit a Muay Thai guy in an MMA round, it's not very impressive.
I interviewed Tan Lei recently about this fight, and he raised a pretty interesting point. It's hard to submit somebody who doesn't want to be submitted, even if they don't know how to defend against submissions. Rodtang could, in theory, just kind of turtle up into a ball and close up his neck, lock up his arms. It wouldn't be pretty, but it is hard to submit somebody who is determined not to be submitted, even if they're not that great at jiu-jitsu. And that, I think, is where things could kind of get ugly. But I think
Rodtang's going to turtle.
I don't think so. I think both of these guys sort of feel the onus to entertain. This fight is about fun for both of them, I think. And I think probably the priority or a big motivation for them is entertaining the fans and having some fun themselves. So I don't expect to see either guy, with a super conservative game plan. And as you said, I think a loss isn't going to be that disastrous for your guy. If DJ gets knocked out in a Muay Thai round, well, he got knocked out by a Muay Thai champion and he's an MMA fighter, and vice versa for Rodtang. If he gets submitted, he's brand new to jiu-jitsu. You can't really fault him for that. So I think both guys are probably going to take some risks, have some fun, and well, I hope so. Because that's gonna give us a much more exciting fight.
Now, I like to consider myself as, not very egotistical. Yeah. So I'm just talking rubbish on it. No. But it was interesting. Chattree said, I think you asked him, like, where did the idea for this fight come from? And he said it was Matt Conley, who's head of, I can't remember his exact title, but he sort of does socials and something else. Is it PR as well? Yeah, head of PR and social. I should know that because I deal with him quite a lot. But I think it was the interview I did with Matt got the idea, I think, from an interview I did with DJ last summer. I remember writing this where I asked him, you said after the defeat to Adriano you'd like to try some kickboxing, I think. And then DJ was pretty candid. He said, oh yeah, I was not thinking straight, right? After 10 days in the hotel, you say some crazy S word, I'm not going to swear on the pizza preview. Some crazy shears, and then he sort of went on a little bit of not a rant, but it was a tangent saying, yeah, me thinking that I could trade with Rodtang, I must have been just sleep deprived and jet lagged and crazy. And I think the idea was born there. So I'm going to take 0.001% credit for this matchup.
I think you can take a little more. I think you can take full credit. In fact, when the two fighters walk out tomorrow, they should also announce your name.
They should get me in the ring, to announce it.
Yeah, well, you can fight too.
No, none of that. I will stick to the pizza and the beer. Let those guys do the heavy lifting. But anyway, there's a lot of other fights, so we'll try and get through a few more. Still got some pizza. So have you had a slice yet?
I'll finish 2 slices. I'm kind of away the crust now too. I try not to waste the crust, but there's just all this good cheese and pineapple.
Yeah. It's well. What should we do then? Pick a fight. Pick any fight.
Let's talk about Adriano and Yuya. That's the next biggest fight on the bill. I've said from the get-go, this is one fight that I'm not flip-flopping on. I think Yuya is going to win. I've been high on Yuya for a long time.
You love Yuya.
Yeah, you know what? Since the very beginning, I've thought that he has a lot of potential. He's got just crazy power for this division. His movement is really good. He's pretty defensively sound. We haven't seen a ton of his grappling until recently, right? In his last fight, he really showed off the wrestling, but we haven't seen a whole lot of the submission defense from him. Excuse me. So that's kind of the big question. Can he thwart the attacks of a jiu-jitsu black belt? I think he can, and I think he will probably win by knockout.
I'm going to go against you, Tom. I'm going to go with Adriano Moraes. I think he will submit Yuya. DJ showed the path against Yuya Wakamatsu in his first fight in one championship. I think Yuya rocked DJ, didn't he, first round? But then DJ's class told in the end. I think Adriano's going to show us, what he's obviously a brilliant striker, but he's he's formidable on the ground as well. So I think, I'm going to go for Adriano's submission in the second round.
Well, this certainly makes for more entertaining viewing when we disagree.
Yes.
Yeah, it would be kind of boring if we agreed on everything.
It would be.
Yeah. But I'm sticking to my guns here with the caveat that I am almost always wrong. So take that for what you will. Yeah.
Yeah, don't follow our predictions, especially if you're betting or anything like that. Because I'm also normally wrong, but we can't both be wrong, Tom. So someone's going to be right.
It'll probably end up being a draw because
or someone will fail a COVID test. Or, hope not, because Adriano, I think he's the most underrated fighter still in one, even after that. Whenever DJ, for some reason, he doesn't seem to connect with audiences, does he? He doesn't get big numbers. We saw him bouncing around the ring at the open workouts. It just doesn't seem to connect, and I don't know why. I feel people should love him. If you know him the way we do when we interview him, he's a lot of fun. We were saying, weren't we, today or was it yesterday, that he's really come out of his shell. From the first time you and I interviewed him, maybe in 2020, he could barely speak English, and the interviews were just kind of, they weren't special, were they? But now he's one of my favorite interviews. He's really put a lot of time and effort into that side of it, the media, which I do think is a really important side of the game for fighters. If you can make yourself an interesting character in media, it's sometimes worth more than being the best fighter. It sort of opens up opportunities. We've seen some of the biggest buy rates are not, the best fighters, are they? Anyway, that's a tangent. But yeah, what do you think of Adriano's progression in that area? He's just fun now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, despite picking against him, he's one of my favorite guys to watch in one, and just an awesome dude. I've interviewed him many times, and it's been awesome to kind of watch his personality sort of emerge from the cocoon, so to speak. You say, he's not catching on with fans, and I agree. But I think, it's a bit of a slow build.
I want him to.
He certainly gained some ground when he knocked out DJ. I think if he wins this weekend, he'll gain a little bit more kind of clout with the fans. And he does seem to be opening up. Like you said at the open workouts yesterday, he was sort of engaging the crowd, kind of hyping people up and talking to people around the ring. So I think he's kind of realized that it's beneficial to him to kind of interact with people and kind of generate some fan engagement. And I suspect if he wins tomorrow, particularly if he stops Yuya, we'll see his star rise even further.
There you have it. I think he's going to win. I'm backing him. All right.
Can't argue with you, man. It's a close fight.
What about the rest of this? It's not the main card. It's called the grand finale, isn't it? We have
grand finale is. Yeah, right. Cool, yeah.
We have a lead card, a main card, and a grand finale. I think, or is it part 1, part 2? I don't even know.
It's a card with many names.
Yeah.
I think the next biggest fight on the bill would probably be the clash of Japanese legends as it's being billed.
Yes.
Shinya Aoki and the sexy one, Yoshihiro Akiyama.
Yeah. So he needed the curtain at the weigh-ins this morning or this afternoon.
Anybody had any objections to
No. Sexyama getting naked. You can't fault that. He's a sexy man. He looks in incredible shape for 47, is it? I don't know how he made that weight cut. He started his career as a light heavyweight, didn't he? Or he's been up there.
He's been up there, certainly. Yeah.
And he looked pretty rough, not going to lie. And Shinya came in way under, if I recall correctly. So Shinya's given up a lot of size in this fight. Is that going to be enough for Sexyama? I don't know. I think Shinya's going to... I was talking to Manabu about this. He says it's not causing as much buzz as you'd think in Japan. Like, they're more interested in some of the other fighters from Japan on the card, like the media there. I mean, he says Shinya has his fans, obviously. Sexyama has his fans. Manabu isn't too interested in this one, but I'm interested. I love Shinya. I love Sexyama. It's a fun one, isn't it? It's... I think that's what the big theme of this card is fun. Chachi was saying that. It's not like the best of the best fights. It's got some incredible fights, but it's also some dare I say, freak show fights. I don't want to demean anyone.
He used the word weird himself,
Weird,
didn't he?
yeah.
And I love weird. That's
You are weird.
This is a weird sport, and if you deny it, then I mean you're missing something.
There needs to be an element of weirdness to get into it as a fighter or a fan, I think.
Definitely. The weirder the better. I mean, yeah, I say the weirder the better. And we're talking a lot about the two outcome fights on this card, right? We look at Stamp versus Angela, and it seems to be, Angela wins by submission or Stamp wins by knockout. DJ versus Rodtang, DJ wins by submission or Rodtang wins by knockout. I think this is the true two outcome fight on this card.
Giving you that.
I think Sexyama wins by knockout or Aoki wins by submission. I don't think Aoki's going to knock out Sexyama, and I don't think Sexyama's going to submit Aoki. Those outcomes just seem impossible to me. So for me, this one is really a question of who can get their game plan going. I have a ton of respect for Sexyama. He's just an amazing character. But as you said, Nick, he is getting up there in age. He seemed to have a tough cut down to this weight class. Shinya is seemingly still in his prime, despite spending the better part of 2 decades in the sport. I feel like this is a pretty clear. You don't want to discount Sexyama, but I feel like it's fairly obvious to me that Aoki will submit him tomorrow night.
That's what I'm going for an Aoki submission.
Well, look at that. We agree.
I nearly poured the pizza all over the floor there. I say, great assist, by the way, from the PS5 box. It's proved formidable this week as a kind of tray table in various...
You can't see it in the shot here.
Yeah.
There's a PS5 box. Nick brought his PS5
yeah.
Singapore, and he's been using the box for all kinds of things. It's really like a Swiss Army knife.
Universally useful.
With this box. He's been sleeping in it. Eating off of it. Yeah, it's...
Just like Shinya Aoki, can do a lot. Can do a lot of things very well. I think Shinya's going to submit Sexyama. Yeah. He's shown recently, he's not afraid of anyone in terms of size. We saw what he did to Nakashima, who came down from welterweight. It didn't work out, did it? Even last August, I think he signed up to grapple Gordon Ryan. He's not afraid of anyone. There's an element of madness to Shinya Aoki, which I love. I think he's going to win. We agree again. What's the other one on the grand finale then? There's one more fight. I think I'm forgetting. Super Bon against Marat Grigorian. Now, we saw Marat, didn't we, at lunchtime? Wasn't in a great mood.
He didn't seem to be.
He was asked to put his mask back on. I think he felt it was a little silly because he'd already signed in with. You have an app here in Singapore. You have to sign in called Trace Together. He'd sat down at the table. It can be a little fussy, isn't it? We've been here all week, and some of the rules just seem a little bit weird. One championship, we're not blaming them at all. They have to follow these rules as part of the condition for doing this event. They have no choice, and I've been told off a couple of times not having the mask on. They said to me tonight, make sure you keep it on. I think I took it off at the press conference a little bit to ask the questions. But anyway, Marat Grigorian. That was a tangent, but I think I don't know how to call this one. Marat obviously he's knocked him out pretty spectacularly before, hasn't he? That's what's going to be playing on Super Bon's mind. Chatri was predicting, I think, a counter left kick to the head, was it?
Or Marat?
For Super Bon, because that's what he's been training. But I don't know. I can't remember what Chatri said precisely. But it would be foolish of Marat to not think that Super Bon's going to be looking to exploit that, will it? I think Marat Grigorian's going to win. I think he's spectacularly brilliant. It's a shame he wasn't. I was very gutted when he was ruled out of the semi-finals of the featherweight kickboxing Grand Prix. I think everyone was looking forward to that fight against Chinga Zalazov. And obviously now that final is also on this card, Chinga against Sitichai. But Marat was just kind of catapulted straight into the title shot. So no regrets, I'm sure. I don't think he feels too guilty, Tom, and why would you? It's.
I mean, he sort of lucked out here. It sort of worked out perfectly for him. He gets to go to the dance without asking anyone out. It's a great thing for him. I would like to offer a counter opinion, play devil's advocate here, and I have to say I kind of would like to see Super Bon win, but I have to agree with you. I think Marat will win. He's got the momentum. We've seen what happens when these guys fight. Based on the information available, I think you have to predict that he will win. But having said that, it's an incredible matchup. You can't discount a Super Bon win. But gun to my head, I'll pick Marat as well.
Yeah, I think this could steal the show. I think it could be the fight of the night when we do our. I don't know what time. Hopefully on Sunday we can do a little recap, maybe with a pizza again. Some breaders, yeah.
We can probably give up on the breaders pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of them, to be honest. You seem to love them. Yeah. They're from they're from Holland. So maybe if we speak to Renier de Ridder, I'll ask him about the breaders.
Maybe he can join us for a post-fight bread. If he beats Andre Galvao, he deserves the opportunity to toast himself. He'll probably want to do it with something other than Breda, if I had to guess. He seems like a man of great taste.
Well, yeah, let's talk about that fight.
It's the perfect segue into that fight. This is an incredible fight. When you were talking to Chatri today, he summed it up pretty well. On paper, Galvao's going to win. There's just no question. He's done more in jiu-jitsu. He's done jiu-jitsu for longer. He's fought better guys. But there's just this kind of there's this confidence to de Ridder that's impossible to ignore, and you see it every now and then. I remember when Chris Weidman knocked out Anderson Silva. Nobody thought he could do that. There may be some people that were giving him a chance to out-wrestle Anderson Silva or whatever, but not many people believed he would knock him out. But he was saying he was going to do these things. There was just this confidence to him. And then when he did it, you're like, shoot. He did it. He believed in himself and he did it. And de Ridder seems to have this kind of this unwavering confidence in himself. And maybe it's misplaced. Maybe it's unjustified. Maybe he's in for a very, very rude awakening tomorrow night. But you see that confidence, and it's kind of hard not to get on board with him. And Chatri said, maybe he knows something we don't. But having said all that, based on the information available, if you've done any research whatsoever, if you've paid any attention to these guys' careers, this is Galval's fight to win or lose, even at the age he's at, even kind of in the latter stages of his career. This guy's a legend of jiu-jitsu. He's been around the block. He's fought everybody. De Ridder should, in theory, be a cakewalk for him, I think. Shall I let you finish your slice? You ready to rock?
I'll hold the crust. Galval, I'll just say, before I give my prediction, just been a nice breath of fresh air.
What a delight.
Yeah, what a delight.
Absolute delight. Who knew?
An officer and a gentleman. He was so nice at the press conference. I only managed to get 2, I wouldn't even call them scrums. They were one-on-ones, essentially, but because don't get me started on the press conference interview situation, but I know it's difficult for one to arrange with all the rules and regulations, but they had 2 setups, and they were while they were sending DJ out to the left where I was, they had Stamp over on the right, and then Angela came out on the right while I was speaking to Galval, and yada yada. I wanted all of them, I'm a greedy man, Tom. Just want everything. But Galval, lovely to talk to him. I haven't really followed his career much. I'm not a huge jiu-jitsu guy, grappling guy. I'm kind of still not even that great at MMA journalism or reporting or knowledge. But Galval, that world is all a bit alien to me, but he speaks with authority and just comes across as a huge star. And I got to say, I'm delightfully surprised, at great interview, great character. I think going to bring a lot of star power to one, but also I didn't think he's going to fight. I thought he was going to be one of those, the new Vitor Belfort, and I'm sad to say this, but I thought he'd just going to be one of those signings that one made to cause a bit of buzz, get the name out there while things were slow during those. There were some times one just like to generate a bit of news because they weren't able to put on events, and it's not their fault. During the pandemic, they've really, really had to think on their feet and be sharp to keep themselves in the news while the UFC's been out there putting on events and things like that, and then slowly Bellator got back on their feet and PFL. So I'm pleasantly surprised to see Galval. Like you say, all the science points to him winning comfortably. But you're right, there's something about De Ridder, and I can't go against the big Dutchman, the undefeated Dutch Knight. I don't know why. Maybe it's the Bredder talking, but
it's probably the Bredder talking. It's the Dutch beer, the Dutch Knight.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is a great prediction because if you're right, you're going to look like a soothsayer, like a seer. It's that's a great prediction. You're going to look amazing if.
Well, I know there'll be some of you in the comments, Gordon, Lou, a few of you, will be calling me out. How can you pick De Ridder? I don't know. I just have a hunch. It's Libretto. Anyway, looking forward to it either way. 12 minutes, one 12-minute round, so.
Submission only, so
yeah.
Both of these submission grappling matches we have on this card, there's a fairly high likelihood that they will end in draws, which is always a little bit disappointing because oftentimes there's one fighter that's clearly had more success throughout the fight, but they can't get the sub, so that ends with the draw. It's a bit like Lethway, the draw only things in Lethway where one guy beats the crap out of another and then it's.
I'm pointing the mic at myself while you're talking. Anyway, I can hold it if you want.
Well, whatever. You eat some pizza, man.
I've had 3. I'm going to save the 4th for the final run. I don't know how long I'm going to do, but I don't want to do every fight because we'll be here till Sunday.
Well, let's stop rambling about Galval. We're both a fan of this guy. We both love RDR. Both great interviews, both awesome guys to talk to.
He's not on the finale card. He's the co-main, I think, on the second part or first.
Right, and with 20 fights, it's a great thing. It's an incredible thing, but as a journalist and also I imagine as just purely as a fan, it's hard to keep track of what's happening when. And who's fighting who? There's 40 fighters involved tomorrow, and the lineup has changed slightly. Like we said, Stephen Loman is suddenly on the bill.
Sniper.
We lost the Asha Roka and Elise Anderson's fight recently. Yeah. The status of Denise Zamboanga's fight is shrouded in mystery currently.
I hope that's fine. I really do.
Of course, yeah, but
that's the next title challenger there. Right?
We're talking about 40 people. That's a full American classroom. Do you know what I mean? That's a lot of people to keep track of. It's going to be a serious bonanza, but it's hard to kind of just.
Well, we could cherry pick a few. You just mentioned Harmon, Denise. I don't think we've talked about that yet. If it goes ahead, who are you picking then?
Yeah, well, let's not spend too much time on it because I feel like there's a fairly high likelihood we're losing that one, unfortunately. I think so. They weren't there at the ceremonial weigh-ins.
I was thinking, there's no way they could do every fighter at the ceremonial.
But they did every fighter except that one.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, they had, no disrespect to the undercard fighters. They had Senzo Akeda there. They had Jeremy Miato there. You think they would bring them out rather than Denise and Ham if they could? It's, I think... I don't know.
Maybe Ham is cutting weight.
That's true. So that's true.
They didn't want her.
Well, that's illegal.
Yeah. That's the Breda talk.
We'll see. If that fight goes ahead, I'm going to pick Ham. I really think Denise is an incredibly talented fighter who will inevitably challenge for the title, whether it's against Stamp or Angela or Ham or whoever. But for the moment, Ham is one of the most experienced atomweights in the world. Yeah. Has beat just about everyone she can beat in multiple promotions all over the world. I mean, she's a stud. It's hard to pick against her in this one, despite the kind of close nature of the first fight. I go with her again.
I'll give my 2 cents. I think if it goes ahead, of course, I'm going to go with Denise. I think she won the first fight.
There we go.
This is what we're here for. Yeah. But let's not sit on the fence. Let's not just play it safe, pick the same fighters. Let's get some debate going. I think Denise, I think she won the first fight. I don't think it was controversial. It should have been a clear win for her.
Oh, wow.
I think it was a clear win, yeah. There was 2 rounds to 1. It was a very, very close fight. So in that way, it could be controversial, you know what I mean? But I think it was obvious. She won that 3rd round. Was a little disappointed in Ham, given the hype that she came in with. I still have question marks around her size. I don't think she's big enough for this division. She's a natural atomweight, whereas obviously one's atomweight division is really a strawweight division because of how their weight classes work and their division. So I think Ham is in that boat. We're like, I don't want to, like we always talk about, being a one is just too small for this division, right? And if she found a minimum weight or something like that, she went to Ryzen perhaps, she might have more success there. We've always talked about that. I think we know how good Ham is because we've seen her in Ryzen, we've seen her in Road. In UFC she struggled a little bit, but I think you're getting another Breda here, aren't you? Yeah. I still haven't finished my other Breda. I think the size factor. I think they've both been preparing for it as well for a long time. I think they've known they're going to find each other for the last, let's say, 6 months. When was that? September?
Yeah, I don't even remember when that was.
Yeah, time flies, huh? But let's take a sip of Breda. It's got a weird musky taste. I'm just going to go with Denise, go with my gut. And I think, if Angela wins and Denise wins, boy howdy. I've never said that in my life. Well, we have a really great title fight there next up.
Denise and Angela.
Yeah.
Well, the better title fight I would say is Denise and Stamp. Even the history there, the former training partners.
But they're still friends.
Yeah, but I mean, one championship is going to sell that fight as it's going to be like Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns, like Jorge and Colby. It's.
No, it will. If that happens, one will. They can't force them to hate each other, but I do think Angela and Denise actually hate each other. Okay. Not hate, that's stronger. They dislike each other, stemming from, that stuff that happened. Yeah, when Angela announced she was pregnant and she wasn't going to vacate the belt, Denise said she should vacate the belt. That upset Angela. There was a bit of back and forth. Not going to lie, a little bit of shenanigans on my part of sort of interviewing,
stoking
the fire. Yeah. That's what we like to do. We like to make things interesting, but that rivalry's there and it'll be great to see. But that's what's awesome about this division. You pitched that idea to Chatri of a kind of behind the scenes documentary on this division. I think it'll be brilliant. There's a lot of interesting characters, a lot of brilliantly talented fighters in it. So whoever wins these 2 fights, I think we're in for a great time. I mean, Angela v. Ham would be brilliant. Just we all thought that was going to be it, didn't we? When the tournament was first announced, the Atkin Grand Prix, we all thought Ham was going to steamroll everyone, get to the final, win, set up a fight with Angela for Angela's big comeback. It could still happen. Like you said, Stamp v Denise. If that's the permutation that works out, that's got a storyline there. Stamp v Ham, maybe not the one that most naturally, but no bad fights there. All right, let's go. Let's keep going. What do you? Yeah.
We talked about John Wayne Parr.
We did.
We talked about Danielle Kelly. We could talk about Danielle Kelly and May.
Danielle Kelly, May Yamaguchi. Yeah. Take it away. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Well, part of the reason that we're doing this pizza preview is, just being on the ground in Singapore, giving you guys a little bit of color, a little bit of context, what we're seeing here.
A little bit of pizza.
A little bit of pizza, a little bit of bretta, all the ingredients you need. One thing I've noticed that, I would say is abundantly clear is that one is really getting behind Danielle Kelly. I don't know if it's kind of hoping that she will transition to MMA or just looking to monetize her submission grappling career, but they clearly see something in her.
See a star.
Yeah, they see a star. It's obvious. They had her at the press conference there, despite having never fought in MMA or in one championship. They had her at the press conference alongside DeRitter, Stamp, DJ, Rod Tang,
I thought it was odd. We didn't have Denise.
Exactly. Denise is clearly a better established name in one championship, but there was Danielle right there on the stage. They clearly see something in her, and I think it's justified. She's an incredible grappler, and I think May is kind of a great first opponent for her in the submission grappling context because May is a jiu-jitsu black belt who, that's her specialty. She's good enough that even if she loses, she should be able to put up like a pretty serviceable fight, I would say. And I think if Danielle wins that one, which I suspect she will, probably with something flashy. I have tons of respect for May, one of my favorite people to talk to in this sport, but I do think Danielle will probably submit her. And I think if she does, we are going to see the entire force of the one engine getting behind Danielle.
Machine.
Exactly. And I think it'll probably be a matter of time before she jumps into MMA and becomes a part of this atomweight division that we're all, so excited about.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm going to go with Danielle there. Again, no disrespect to me. I think she has the credentials. It's like with the John Wayne Parr fight, I think. Exactly. They've matched her up against someone who has just enough of the kind of, he's a question mark, can May do it? Can Edward beat John Wayne Parr? Just enough to keep me interested to watch it and be excited for it. So I'm looking forward to that one. Well, I'm going with Danielle Kelly. All right. What else?
We got DeRitter. We got Kelly. We got
I should get the.
We got Super Bomb. We got Stamp Fairtex. We got Rod Tang. Who else is there?
There's probably so many more.
We got Adriana. We got Yuya.
Yeah.
We got the featherweight number one contender fight. Kim Jae-Woon.
Kim Jae-Woon, Tankai. I'm going with Kim there. I think it's a risk, obviously, because he had already sort of earned that number one contender shot against the future featherweight champion, because division was backed up for a long time. Tan Lei is now and still he defended the belt pretty decisively against Gary Tonin. So Tan Lei's here. He was emceeing the open workouts. It was a ton of fun. We spoke to him after that, and he'll be watching with a very keen eye this fight, because I think his next challenge is coming from there. Although he did cast a little bit of doubt. If Tan Kai beats Kim, he's not certain Tan Kai deserves a shot. But I would say, you know what? Let's not play games. Let's just get this division going. It's been held up for a while.
And there is sort of some flawed logic there, I would say. If you think Kim deserves the title shot and then someone comes along and beats him decisively, then, in theory, that person sort of assumes that spot at the front of the line.
I'm with you there. Yeah. And I don't see anyone else unless they want to do Martin Nguyen versus Tan Kai, let's say, if Tang beats Kim. Because Martin put himself back in the mix with that win over Kirill Gorobets. But I still think Martin's going to need another one, maybe two wins to get another title shot. So, that's interesting. I'm going with Kim Jae-Woon. I think, I'm basing that on what I've seen of Kim. And, Tan Kai is ranked number 4. Rankings, MMA maths, never really wise to go by that. But I do think Kim will have enough. And we're going to see Kim against Tan Lei. Probably not too long. It'll be certainly the summer, maybe creeping into the winter. But I know Tan wants to get going. He's no spring chicken, although he's in incredible shape and he feels about 25. He is 36, I think. It's just a one issue. So there's a little bit of, he's in a hurry, I think, and he should be to He's in, prime. The prime. I don't know how long the prime is going to last. That's the one issue with Turnley. He could dominate that division for years, but it's now or never. He can't wait around. He lost a year and a half, pretty much, with the COVID pandemic. Because what was it, October 2020 when he beat Martin away? So
you're 36 years old. You can't really afford to waste a year and a half.
No, he was already sort of in that age, 35-ish, where you need to be fighting. It's now or never. It could all go wrong. As a 34-year-old male myself,
it's all going wrong.
It's all going wrong. Yeah. If I get one injury now, I'm not saying I'm anywhere close to. I mean, I'm not. I'm horrendously unfit and out of shape, but. If I have like a small muscle injury, it takes weeks, months to recover sometimes. These guys, the body just isn't as forgiving, is it, Tom? So, Turnley, strike while the iron is hot, that's what they say. Let's get that fight going, maybe August, something like that. Let's do it. Let's not wait around. Anyway, who are you picking? You going with Kim or Tang?
Yeah, I'll go with Kim, and I'll just add the small detail here that a lot of people when they look at this 20-fight card, there's always a worry with cards like this that one championship is putting all their eggs in one basket, and then what do they do for the next card, right? They've used all their stars on this one, but I think the fact that we're talking about Tonley defending his title in a month or two, it goes to show that one is they have a strong roster. They have a strong enough roster that they can put on a 20-fight bonanza like this and still have talent left over to make something interesting happen in 2 weeks, 3 weeks time after the fact.
I do think Turnley will win that fight as well. I think
there's not really any featherweights. After he beat Gary Tonin, there's not really any featherweights on the roster right now that I think are going to beat him. To be honest.
No, it's a tough one because if he beats, maybe they won't rush that fight because if he beats Kim, they're not going to go straight back to the Martin rematch.
They might.
They might, yeah, but. It was good to see Turnley branching out and sort of chasing this side hustle, with the media side. I think he'd be very good at it.
Quick note about that. I don't know if Turnley believed us when we spoke to him after the fact, but he was incredible. He has it. He was great on stage. Yeah. He seemed confident. He said he was more nervous for that gig than he was for any of his fights, which is insane considering the people he's fought. But he didn't seem nervous at all. He wasn't stuttering. There was no quiver in his voice. He was totally confident. He was articulate. He had great questions prepared for the fighters that he was tasked with interviewing. I thought he was a total natural, and God forbid his career goes off the rails. He clearly has a future in broadcasting, commentating, announcing, something of that nature.
And that's what DC always used to say. Prepare for the career after the career. There's not many fighters who. I'm quoting him, so not verbatim, just loosely, but DC would say there's not many people who can do that side of it, like we've just mentioned. It's a difficult role. You put a camera in front of people that clam up all the time, and it's a demanding role which requires a lot of training, or to get anywhere good, you need to either be naturally good at it or have trained a lot in it. I couldn't have done things like this. Thomas. Is it Thomas or just Tom?
It's Thomas.
Yeah. There we go. I could not have done things like this a few years ago. I was just, when I first started journalism, any kind of recording element of video just freaked me out.
Oh, me too.
I hated it. Yeah, I just mumbled. I like to just asking questions, recording it. I'm the only one who could hear my awful, horrible voice. Everyone hates hearing their voice when they hear it back, but especially so, I did not like the sound of my own voice. It took I think I received some video training from SCMP, some 2 dedicated sessions to actually just get comfortable enough in front of a camera that I wasn't scared of the red light there and scared of the thought, what are people going to think of me if I don't come across good and entertaining and interesting. And it's just it's a natural thing, or it takes a lot of training is what I'm trying to say. And I think Turnley didn't need any training. He just came straight out there and killed it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I still I have to admit I'm often nervous when I'm doing interviews on camera.
You should be. You're a natural.
Well, I appreciate that, but something about it, I find when you're interviewing somebody on the phone or you're interviewing somebody in a private context, there's an intimacy to it, right? It's just you and them. Kind of it feels a little bit more natural. But when you're interviewing somebody and then the whole world gets to watch the interview in its raw state, it's an entirely different beast, and it's And I understand why you were nervous. I certainly feel nervous sometimes. All that to say, watching Tanlay just jump on stage yesterday in front of a crowd full of people he's never met in a faraway country, and he just knocked it out of the park. He was a total natural. So hats off to him, and I think we're going to see probably a lot more of him with a microphone in his hand.
Yep, and he has obviously hung around in Singapore since that win over Gary Tonin, and I think there's going to be a few other surprises. I tried to tease it out of Chatri's palms earlier at the hotel, the Farah behind us. Again, lovely Singapore, right behind us. It is a beautiful city. Been a long time since I've been here. I have. It took me 5 minutes, Tom, to fall in love with Singapore again. Having not been here since, I think, 2016. It was just instantly, I loved it again. I remembered why I loved it. But anyway, yes, Tanlay's been here since that win. I think there's going to be a few other surprises. Some champions, who won on the card. I think they're going to be in attendance. Hopefully they put him up for a little interview with us. Because we were told earlier we're going to get interviews. That was what I was worried about. Are we going to have any post-fight interviews? I'm excited to say they told us they will be. Not holding my breath because they've changed their minds 100 times this week. But hopefully we will bring you a lot of reaction. They said all the winners, so...
They did say that. I didn't get that much.
I kind of heard it we had a weird team huddle outside the arena in the sweltering heat before the ceremonial weigh-ins. It was a bit strange, wasn't it? But yeah, we're going to have I think we're going to have a few more champs, some celebrities. Tanlay won't be the only big name there who's on the card. But anyway, let's pick out a couple more fights before we wrap this up. We've still got some pizza, so let's do some talking. What else are you looking forward to? I think we both agree Nongo is going to beat Felipe Lobo. Just from the sound of those kicks that Nongo was throwing at the open workouts yesterday, I could hear Tanlay behind me. The mics were off, but I was only about 4 foot away from him and Dom Lau, and you could hear them just go, oh my goodness, those kicks are insane. They'll take your head off. Brutal. The thwack when the shin hits the pad, just brutal. I'm going with Nongo. I trust you are as well.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. As Ton said in your interview with him, there's only so much that can be gleaned from an open workout. It is very ceremonial. It is about putting on a show for the fans. But
you want the big one or the small one?
Oh man, follow your heart. Take whichever piece you want. I'm content. I think I've had just about enough pizza. So I've got some scraps here that I got to take care of. Right. Anyway, Tanlay was saying, that there's only so much that you can take away from the open workouts because they are a show. It is theatrical. But Philip Lobo was in there just kind of moving around. Nongo was in there like he was trying to kill his trainer. It was, it sounded like somebody hitting a steak with a baseball bat or something. It was. The sound was incredible. It was. I mean, he's clearly just a marauder, and I think the fact that Lobo took this fight on short notice, just kind of. I mean, how can you possibly pick him? He's a great fighter, I'm sure. I don't know a ton about him, I confess, but just given the circumstances and given the guy he's fighting, you can't really give him that much of a chance, can you? I mean.
I'm pizzaing.
Oh, he's pizzaing. Okay, I'll leave you alone.
I'm nodding. Yeah.
One fight that I am excited to see is the first fight of the first card. My man Senzo Akeda back in action. Senzo and I had a great chat through a translator a few months ago. I can't even remember when he won his last fight. It was a knockout, if I recall.
I want to say January.
Yeah, we talked about Dragon Ball Z. It's a series that's close to my heart. I grew up watching that one. So did he. We were talking about our favorite Dragon Ball Z characters through the translator. He said he was like Yamcha, the character that always dies. I think that's a little bit of an inaccurate assessment because he's been doing some good winning lately, and I suspect he'll do some more winning tomorrow. What else we got? We got Lito Adiwang against Jeremy Miyato. Yeah. I got to go with Lito on that one. He obviously took the L against Jared Brooks recently, but who isn't taking L's to Jared Brooks these days? You can't really fault him for that. So
future champ, Jared Brooks.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that, and that's saying something because Josh Pasio has looked pretty incredible as the champion of that division, but it's just hard to imagine anyone stopping Jared Brooks right now. Having said that, you can't really blame Lito too much for that loss. I think he'll get back on track this weekend.
I agree with you. I'm going with Lito. Yeah. Yep,
he agrees.
Nodding and eating.
Yeah, nodding and eating. The Nick Atkins way. The Nick Aikens way.
Yeah. I'm used to it. Everyone mispronouncing mine, so.
Yeah. What else do we got? I think we probably hit like at least 50% of the fights here now.
The fact
If you're watching this, speak up. What are we missing?
Yeah, this isn't live. So.
I know.
I was just thinking, I should have tried to do this live, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of equipment needed for that.
No, we're on the Bredas too. You never know what might happen on a live stream.
Bredas,
You need the benefit of censorship when the Bredas are flowing. I'm trying to think what would be beneficial here, Nick, is if we had the lineup in front of us. We're acting like some total frauds, total dilettantes here who don't know what they're talking about. The lineup is right at our fingertips on the World Wide Web. It's a Google search away. Let's look at it. I'm sure we're missing something really obvious. Did we even make it through the whole main card without missing anything?
I think we got through the main card.
Okay.
I just typed 1FX.
Was that some kind of medicine?
I feel like that was a band. Well, that was NoFX.
NoFX. I loved NoFX when I was a kid. It was probably my favorite band when I was in high school.
Yeah. All right. Let's do it again. 1FX. I definitely typed 1FC. Okay, here we go. 1X. It's a big card, isn't it? Do you want me to go from the bottom? We talked about that.
You call him out, I'll pick a winner.
Kang Ji-won, Paul Elliott.
Oh, you got to go with Kang. I mean, I say this. Who is Paul Elliott? I mean,
He's pretty. We saw him in the restaurant earlier.
He's a giant.
Burger or something.
He's a giant. Yeah,
he come straight from the weigh-in, and he was tucking into some nice food. So.
Yeah, he looked like he'd just come from throwing a house over a mountaintop. The guy's giant. But I think just based on their resumes, recently at least, Kang has done some pretty impressive things in one championship, knocking out Ali Akbari. Obviously had the loss to Buchecha, but hard to fault him for that. I'm picking him by knockout certainly in this one. I don't know if you got pizza going on, but you can.
I'll weigh in. I'm going to go with Paul Elliott.
Oh wow!
Not that might be my UK bias, but
might be, yeah. Well, we'll laugh you out of town if you're wrong.
I just because I think the one championship heavyweight MMA division is so unpredictable. I don't know there's so many fights where I just don't know. Like you said, who is Paul Elliott? It's maybe a few fights ago we were saying who is Kang Ji-won before he knocked out Amir Ali Akbari, and before that Mehdi Baji.
One thing that I will say, and I don't want to base too much on physical appearances and stuff like that, but when it comes to heavyweight MMA, I would say more often than not, the really ripped, heavily muscled guys tend to lose. Francis Ngannou is an obvious exception, Cyril Gane, but these like really thickly muscled guys, they tend to burn out pretty quickly. And then the guys who have a little bit of jiggle to them, for whatever reason, seem to do very well in this division. Roy Nelson's a great example, but there have been countless others. And, Kang is actually in fairly good shape, I think, but doesn't have the bodybuilder physique that his opponent does. I'm thinking he's going to be faster, more agile, better boxer. I think he'll probably win by knockout.
All right, what about Amir Khan and Ryoga Takahashi?
Got to go with Amir Khan. This is a featherweight, right?
This is a featherweight.
Yeah, so obviously there's kind of an interesting wrinkle there. But he made weight, past hydration, right?
I think
he wasn't on the list. Yeah, I think he made weight okay.
I'll give you the list, so.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with Amir Khan. Singapore's own. It's been a while since he's fought here in front of fans. I think he's going to rise to the occasion. He's got a son now, family to provide for. I think he's probably motivated.
Are you surprised they're not starting the whole card with him?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but he's getting the rub here. I've seen him on some taxis. I've seen him on a few bus shelters.
That's the measure.
Yeah, exactly. If you make it onto the taxi,
you made it in life.
Yeah. But it is kind of interesting to see the fights that are ending up on the sides of taxis here. I saw Shinya Aoki and Sexyama, which, great fight, but does that mean anything to the commuters of Singapore? It was sort of a weird choice to me, but you'd think maybe Angela would be on the side of a cab.
On that tangent, yeah, that's true, because I was asked earlier. A few people have actually asked me. I think they've sussed out I'm here for this event. So it has, I think, permeated, if that's the right word, the public consciousness in Singapore more than perhaps some of one's other events have. I think there's some good hype for it. A lot of people seem to know they're in town. Maybe they've seen the taxis and the bus shelters and the billboards. But yeah, it's interesting who's on those billboards and taxis and bus shelters. I think Amir Khan is one of them. Edward Flying, another one. And I think obviously that's because there's probably a sizable Filipino population here. As I said earlier, the guy in the bar we've been enjoying some cold Budweisers at every night. Blue Jazz Cafe around the corner, Arab Street. Very, very cool bar.
Barley Lane, actually.
Barley Lane. Sorry, it's off Arab Street. He asked me, any Filipino fighters on this card? And I said, yeah, we got Stephen Lohman, he didn't know who that was. I said, we've got Jeremy Miado, didn't know who that was. I said, Lito Adiwang, didn't know who that was, and he was walking off by this point. And I said, oh, and Edward Flying. And he turned around and said, Edward Flying's fighting? Oh my God, you got to get me a ticket. I was like, I don't think I can. Go to 1FC.tickets or whatever it is. I don't know. Yeah,
Definitely not 1FC.
No, it should be. So I think that I've seen him on. That they are pushing the Flying Parr fight. So anyway, that's a tangent. Did you give your prediction there?
For Flying and
No. For Khan Ryoga.
Yeah, I'll go Khan. I think
All right.
hometown advantage. Yeah, he'll win. Yeah.
I'm with you there. Stephen Lohman, Shoko Sato.
The interesting variable here is that Stephen Lohman seemingly took this fight on short notice. I don't know when he accepted it, how he accepted it.
It was within the last 2 weeks.
Just suddenly in this fight, and he looked insanely ripped at the weigh-ins today. He looked like he's ready to tear somebody's head off his bear.
I think it helped because he was scheduled to fight Kwon Wonil.
Exactly.
I think on this card, and something happened to Kwon, so he was already sort of preparing and he was in shape.
Yeah, it's a great fight. Shoko Sato was obviously kind of looked at as a future title contender for a while there. I think he's going to be a tough out for Lohman, but got to go with the Team Makai guy in this one. I think he'll win.
Niki Holtzken and we've done Lito and Jeremy, haven't we? Niki Holtzken, Sinsamuk Lemi, who obviously knocked down the set at the weigh-ins.
The biggest win on his resume, I think, is that the facade they had behind the weigh-ins there. If you missed that, at the weigh-ins today, at the early weigh-ins, he kind of leaned on this curtain they had behind that looked like a wall, and in fact wasn't a wall. It was just kind of like a loosely assembled barricade.
It must have just been cardboard because he barely didn't put much force on it. He was steadying himself while he was taking off his socks or something.
He's lucky there wasn't like a sheer drop on the other side or something. It's a good thing they weren't on a rooftop or something. We would have lost another fight. But yeah, clearly it would be foolish to pick him in this one.
Yeah, going with the natural. Good to see they kept him on the card because Niki was one of the victims. When all the Russian fighters got taken off the card, Niki was out without a fight, so he was going to fight Islam Matasayev. Yeah, so good to see Niki back. We've nearly done them all. We've done Derrida Galval. Have we done Chingiz and Sitichai? I think.
No, I don't think so.
I'm going to go with Chingiz Alazov.
I'll go Sitichai just to be different.
Mix it up.
Pick up fight, really.
Yeah.
You can pick either one of those guys and, be fairly confident that nobody's going to laugh you out of town. It's a close matchup. I'll go Sitichai just to be different.
I'm not a kickboxing expert by any means, so my opinion means very little here. But Sitichai looked a lot better in the semi-final than he did in this quarterfinal. I thought he stepped it up. I think Chavella was raving about his performance. Probably said the best I've seen him in years. I think we're going to get... I'm going with Chingiz because I want to see that. I was really hyped for that Chingiz Alazov Marat Gregorian semi. So I picked Marat to beat Superbon. I'm going with Chingiz here, and then I want to see that fight.
You make some good points here, Nick.
Sometimes they get through.
Once in a while.
We've done Kim and Tankai, Itsuki Hirata and Jihin Radzuan. That's a good one. Yeah.
Android 18. We were talking about Dragon Ball Z earlier. How could I forget the fighter named after one of the best villains and then one of the best heroes from Dragon Ball Z? Android 18. Incredible character, incredible fighter. Jihin Radzuan's great. She looked better than ever against May, I would say, in her last fight. As controversial as that fight was, I didn't really give her a lot of a chance in that matchup, to be honest. And she did enough to win. Having said that,
she's always looked really talented. I wondered whether she could put it all together, but she's young and I wouldn't count her out. That's what I would say.
Yeah, well, in the same way that I've kind of been backing Yuya from the very beginning, I've felt the same way about Itsuki. I've sort of seen that it factor in her. The judo is incredible. She's clearly just like so strong. There's just like a physicality to her, that I think is going to be really difficult for most of the women in this division. And as good as Jihin looked last time out, I think probably Itsuki will be too strong. The judo will be a little bit too much. just a little bit too much horsepower, a little bit too much muscle in the cage, and I think she'll probably win by decision and maybe even the TKO.
Ooh, she was very over tonight at the ceremonials. A lot of fans.
We're seeing a lot of fighters rise to the occasion here, I think.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about Adriano Moraes recently. He was engaging the crowd, as we said, and Tsuki as well, you know, has always been popular. She's, I will say, photogenic. You know, she seems to be catching on with fans already, but she really seems to be leaning into it now. You know, she was embracing the crowd. She had a little dance there for a second.
It's the danger of doing a pizza preview. It's just
yeah. It's called the burp preview, yeah.
No, you're right. You know, I think they've had Tsuki earmarked for greatness from the get-go.
She's a real-life superhero, you know? Yeah.
She's going to unleash that greatness on Saturday. No, I do think they've had a pinned down. They saw big things very early on. I remember them being very high on her, and I think, you know, we could have seen a different main event this weekend tomorrow if she hadn't got injured. Who's to say Itsuki is not the atomweight Grand Prix champion? I think she matched up well. Who was her semi going to be?
I'm trying to remember who she was.
I think she was going to have Ritu, wasn't she?
Yeah, it was Ritu, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think she wins that fight.
And you know what? As much as I love the Android 18 nickname, I do miss the Strong Heart Fighter nickname. That was a good name.
I like that. Yeah,
on the nose, but I like it. You know.
I've so far refused to go with Android 18 when I write articles about her.
You still call her Strong Heart Fighter?
I'm stubborn. Same with Denise Samuenga. I'm not going for Lycan Queen. I'm still going with the Menace.
Lycan Queen? I haven't even heard that.
Yeah, she changed it to...
Lycan like a werewolf or like the moss that grows on the side of rocks?
I don't know.
A werewolf.
Probably. I think it's a Filipino thing. I don't know. Someone fill us in. But the Menace is better. It's what I'm trying to say. But
but it's like, is that like Dennis the Menace? Like Denise the
that's what I think.
Denise the Menace?
Denise the Menace, yeah. Okay. It was brilliantly great, but also awful at the same time.
It's kind of just like a near miss, you know? It's
just memorable. It was Denise the Menace. Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? I can't remember.
We're probably bored.
Itsuki. If anyone is still watching, I don't know why you would be. We
made this far.
Yeah. I think we both get with Itsuki. That's what we were saying.
Yeah, Itsuki.
Okay. All right. Capitan Hiroki Akimoto.
I don't think we made a pick for that. I'll say Capitan.
Oh, with Capitan, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Akimoto is great. I think Chatri said he's one of his favorite fighters at one point, which, you know, take that for what you will. But
Capitan is the man with the 7-second KO, right? In one.
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
So when one was were holding those Bangkok cards before they got back to Singapore in the pandemic, they were just...
Weird era that was.
You know what? That was one of my favorite eras, just watching, because...
Yeah. You learned a lot about a lot of fighters you didn't know a ton about.
Yeah, you saw a few people really make names for themselves. They grasped the opportunity, and he was one of them, I think. And here he is fighting on this card. Yeah, I'm with Capitan.
Me too.
And with that, we've done the whole card. So
I have to say, I mean,
with one pizza slice left.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed. I'm pretty impressed. I have to say, I did not think we would hit all those cards.
No, I was ready to abort during the whole card, but
yeah. Having said that, Nick and I are in for a test of endurance tomorrow. This thing is going to be raging from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. more or less. I think.
Cool. We're getting on a bus, or as I was texting Bear Fraser earlier, who you may know if you read One's website. I think he's now been promoted to senior director. I don't know what that means.
Bear.
Yes, very nice man. You may have seen him on stage as well at these ceremonial weigh-ins tonight. But I was joshing around with him, and I said something along the lines of, he said, "I'll see you at the arena." And I said, "Oh, are you coming with us in the mighty minibuses of courage, integrity, and honor?" And I really popped him with that one. He was chuckling away, and I said, "I've named the minibuses. We take these minibuses every day, so I'll be getting in courage or honor or integrity with you." I left my hat in there. That's why I'm wearing this Hong Kong hat today. I've been wearing my black PFL hat. Strangely, yeah, controversial. I sort of realised it was slightly weird today. I was talking to Chatri about how PFL stacks up against one while wearing
I think
PFL.
you have it backwards. Thankfully, the logo was obscure.
No, it's just a very faint logo, but it struck me and it was quite ironic. If one wants to give me a snapback, I accept all snapbacks. I'll wear that one. I'm not picky, but yeah. I left my mini hat and my cap in the minibus, so hopefully reunite myself with that tomorrow. We'll be leaving the hotel here in about 12 hours time, so I'll be popping another melatonin, I'm sure.
Yeah.
These babies have been getting me through. I don't think I would have slept much at all without them. I'm just still on a very strange clock, body clockwise, and I've had to rely on these. Oh, there you go. Melatonin, beautiful things. 10 milligrams, extra strength.
Now's the melatonin preview.
Yeah. So we'll be there. We'll bring you everything we can. Like I said, we're hoping to have some post-fight interviews with all the winners, which would make life easier than having to try and chase them around on Sunday, Tom, won't it? When I think a lot of them will just want to get the hell out and go home. So if we show up at the hotel with a camera in their face, they may not be too agreeable. I don't think it's going to have that party atmosphere at the hotel as well, like there was in a new era in Tokyo when everyone was just milling about after the show and everyone was buzzing and all the winners were sort of doing interviews, and I think the atmosphere will be a little less festival-like because of the ongoing restrictions. Everything sort of shuts about 10:30, doesn't it? You can see outside it's not very busy.
Which begs the question, how is one championships card running till 11 tomorrow?
Yeah, I think they've had to call in a lot of favours for this whole thing, and that's why they've been very strict with... We've been shepherded.
Read the rider.
Yes. I think that's why... I don't know. Yeah, I just think we're not going to even get post-fight interviews. I feel there'll be a sting in the tail. So maybe we will be running around the hotel on Sunday. Hopefully not, because I'd like to unwind a bit. And we've got a couple of extra days, haven't we, Tom? Before you fly back to Canada, and I'm technically scheduled to fly to Phuket, but I don't know if that'll happen because I may just hang back in Singapore a bit longer if I can, and then fly back to Hong Kong because, as I said, the morning I flew out here, they announced that Hong Kong is slightly less silly now. It's just going to open up. No more flight bans, so I think it should be easier for me to get back in. Only 1 week of hotel quarantine, so I haven't been home, Tom, for 4 months nearly. So I just want to get to my bed and see my friends, go to my coffee shop, go to my bars, go to my gym, go to my FCC, my Foreign Correspondents Club. It's been a while. As much as a holiday in Thailand, as great as that would be, I just want to see a little bit. Yeah, so I'll update you, of course. You'll find out one way or another where I am. But we're looking to have Sunday and Monday largely off and check out a bit of Singapore in case we do both leave on Tuesday. So minimal work would be good, wouldn't it? But
it would. It'd be nice to knock off most of the work tomorrow. Yeah. I'm prepared for a long day tomorrow. It would be definitely unfortunate if it spills, largely into Sunday. But if it does, that's the way the cookie crumbles. We'll be ready to make it happen.
Indeed. Well, talking about long, this has been very long, so we're going to wrap it up there, I think. If I need to edit this, I'm not going to edit it really, I'm just going to upload it. I don't want to know. I got to upload it to YouTube, so I'm going to need your Wi-Fi for that.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I'll see how well it goes on the... We have very bad Wi-Fi in this hotel, as predicted. Anyway,
I bet the Wi-Fi is great at the One Fair Hotel across the way over here.
I can vouch. It was superb.
Look at it over there.
5G.
Glimmering in the night.
Singapore.
Yeah, beautiful.
It's a beautiful city.
The Lion City, they call it.
The Lion City, yeah. It's
the lions out there?
It's been fun.
I don't think lions are native to Singapore.
No. It would be a shame if we haven't really explored, have we? We haven't done anything.
We've been exploring the Arab Quarter.
Yeah.
Not going to the same bar every night.
Yeah. I think it's weird. It's been so busy, and I think we're both jet lagged very badly. So we've not had the inclination to really, or the ability to stay out till 4 a.m. because everything shuts at 10:30. So would like to do a little bit of sightseeing, go and see some things like the Makarichi National Park. I've got my eyes on. Botanical Gardens is always fun. Sentosa, all that stuff that I saw in The Apprentice on the flight over.
Yeah.
Well, there's a bit of pizza here. We'll wrap it up and some more breaders.
Yeah. It's 11. It's almost midnight now. I gotta get to bed, man. We got a big day tomorrow.
Yeah. That's it then. We'll see you tomorrow for what's going to be a hectic day.
Yes.
Check back SCMP MMA for all your coverage news. scmp.com/MMA if you want to read about it, obviously. And keep it here. Like and subscribe if you haven't. For Tom, I'm Nick, and we'll see you tomorrow.